You can't take this from me, baby. You will not take this from me, baby. What's good, hip hop? What's good? Oh man, it's episode 13 of the new golden era. I'm still your host, Robb Diggie, aka Robb D, BKA Robb D, in the place to be, talking about the late great DMX, otherwise known as Earl Simmons. Man, I will tell you all, there are significant days in hip hop that we all remember. The day we remember when we lost Tupac, the day when we lost Big, the day when we lost Big L, the day when we lost Big Pun. But April 9th, 2021, we lost an icon in hip hop. We lost Earl Simmons. And I remember exactly what I was doing when I got the news. And I was in Clubhouse or something. And I was having a conversation with some cats, and we were spitting some things, and somebody came on the line and said, "Yo, DMX passed." And I was stunned. Like, the room that I was in, the whole environment changed. Like, I'm telling you, the whole environment changed. Everybody got real quiet. Everybody entered the room early, and I got off the call, and I went to bed early, took my medicine, went to bed, and I started crying, man, because DMX, man, like, if you guys were just knowing this man's spirit, this man's passion, this man's love for the art. And that's why I have him next to me over here, because I feel like his presence is with me. So I have to have him with me on the show. So he's not here literally, but figuratively. He's here with me and my guest today because I had to bring him with me, the late great DMX, and this is going to be an episode dedicated to him, his memory, and his impact on hip hop music, hip hop culture, and of course, we stay locked and loaded and ready with some special guests that I have aboard with us. First of all, the first face you're going to notice is a familiar face, making his record 13th appearance on the podcast, William James Boys. He needs no introduction, but we do have a new guest on today. He goes by the name of Satisfy, otherwise known as Satisfy Raps, for the DB Entertainment crew. Shout out to Dion Brown and his whole crew. Satisfy, I got a chance to interview him a little while ago, maybe a couple of months back. If you guys can look at the channel, I got to sit down and interview him. He is a phenomenal artist. He's a hip hop artist based out of Illinois, and he is on board today as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring these gentlemen in. And what is good, you guys? Unmute yourselves, talk to the group. William James, you can go first. What's good, family? What's happening with you? Talk to the folks, man.
Greetings and salutations. I know that's a John Campia thing, but that's whatever. Anyway, this is amazing, man. In spite of the fact that he's no longer here, he always will be. I just like to say what's up, everybody. This is X. This is X.
No doubt, no doubt. Satisfy, introduce yourself to the audience, please, sir.
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Satisfy. My government name is Christopher Edmonds, just in case if anyone cares. But yeah, DMX, man. We definitely lost a legend. Like, I feel like when X died, 50% of the culture died with it, to be honest. Like, I mean, everyone wants to talk about, the Jays, the Rakims, and all those other rappers that have made such a big impact on hip hop and everything. And they most certainly did, but I feel like you have to talk about X, most definitely. And I feel like people do leave X out of that conversation. And it kind of does piss me off, because it's like, you do know that this guy has done so much for the culture, and he is the culture. And his authenticity, it can't be unmatched, I feel like. And there will never be another DMX out there. Like, he kind of reminds me of Derek Jeter a little bit, when Derek Jeter was in baseball. Mm-hmm. And he was just that once in a lifetime baseball player that pretty much, always had his head on straight, always stayed humble, and just played the game and became one of the greats. And I feel like, you know, with DMX, he was just a different breed, and I just feel like you'll never get another DMX. I feel like.
Most definitely, he was definitely one of one. There's never been another like DMX. I've never heard anything other than DMX in my entire 42 years of life on this planet. And the reason why it's so significant that William James is on here today, because the first time that I heard DMX was on 4321 LL Cool J song, and then I hear this growl, and fresh out the dog, and I'm like, yo, what in the hell is that? Not who is that, what is that? Right? So he's like, and Will's like, yo, it's this guy named DMX. He's got an album dropping in May. I'm like, bet, I'm definitely gonna be peeping that for sure. So let's get the facts out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. You know how we do on this platform. DMX is a one-time American Music Award winner, one-time Billboard Award winner, so don't have a lot of awards in his trophy case, but his impact is felt. 3 albums we're gonna be talking about in this specific time of the new golden era is Dark as Hell is Hot, released in May of 1998. You all know the hits already, the intro, That's My Man's in Them, you know what I'm saying? Reference Anthem. Let me see, Fucking with the D, Get At Me Dog, which was, you know, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let Me Fly, Damien, How It's Going Down, Mickey, Crime Story, Stop Being Greedy for My Dogs, and of course The Prayer. All of DMX's albums ended with The Prayer. And then what does he do next? So he is one of the few artists in the history of music to drop 2 albums in the same year that debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts. Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, released in December of 1998. You got the intro, you got Bring Your Whole Crew, It's All Good, The Omen, Slippin', Blackout. I love Blackout, by the way. It's one of my favorite tracks of DMX in his catalog. Flesh of My Flesh, the title track. The Prayer Part 2, and then No Love for Me. Which also, let me go back real quick. Is Dark as Hell is Hot. 4 marks from the Source magazine, 5-time platinum album. Flesh of My Flesh was 3 times platinum, and then dropped this, and then there was X in December of '99, a year later. 3.5 mics from the Source magazine, and a couple of hits that I love off of there. It was One More Road to Cross, One More Risk to Take, Here We Go Again, Party Up. Everybody knows that. Everybody loves Party Up. What These Bitches Want with Cisco, What's My Name, which is one of my favorite joints with him and Jigga shooting. What do you say? Will? Figures as big as jiggers. You know,
he said, getting sick of these bread brothers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Everybody running around here talking about they got figures as big as jiggers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. He was just so raw, man. But those are 3 albums that we're gonna concentrate on, you guys, in the new golden era. And what I also wrote down was a couple of the off hits. You know, 4, 3, 2, 1. I talked about that. That's how I was introduced to DMX. Money, Power, Respect with The Lock. Shut 'Em Down with Onyx. It's On with DJ Clue. Rough Rider Anthem remix with DJ Clue again. Money, Cash, Hoes with Jay-Z on Volume 2. What You Gonna Do with JL Felony and Mr. Method Man. Top Shotter from the Belly soundtrack. And one of my underground hits that DMX dropped was The Story, which was on the Black Gangsta soundtrack. So if you guys have not heard The Story, go back and check that out, because that is really, really smooth. And I remember picking that CD up, and I was like, yo, DMX on it. I don't even know what the name of the movie is. I'm buying it. DMX on it. I'm buying it. I don't care. I'm buying it. So that's that. There's that. So let's first off, gentlemen, thank you for spending time with us this evening, paying homage to the late great, you know what I'm saying, Earl Simmons. And the first question goes to our guest, Satisfy, and that question is, sir, what does DMX mean to the hip hop culture?
DMX means so much to the hip hop culture, like just everything that he accomplished and just the influence that he had on this culture. Like, it should not go unnoticed whatsoever. And it's interesting that you talk about how he dropped his debut and his sophomore album in the same year, and both went #1 on Billboard. But then a lot of people will be like, oh, like this rapper did the same thing with one of their albums. I'm like, yeah, but did they go #1? And did those albums actually stand the test of time still to this day, where you can go back and listen to them and they're still straight heat?
Yes.
Like, no, like, and DMX was just so real, like just so raw and passionate and everything. And like, you know, when he died, I remember it was a Friday, I was at work, and pretty much I dropped a new song. I dropped my first pop punk rock record, and I was like so stoked on that. And then pretty much when I heard he died, I was just like, man, fuck my song and everything. Like, I'm bummed. Like, one of the greatest human beings ever, like, just died. Like, I don't know, because I think I remember it was like the second day he was in the hospital or the third day. Pretty much I kept telling myself over and over again, I'm like, I do not want to say RIP DMX.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you know, I ended up saying that, and, you know, it still doesn't feel real. Like, you know, I've been listening to It's Dark and Hell is Hot, like, over and over again, especially Let Me Fly in the Convo. Like, those are my favorite songs off that. And For My Dogs with Drag On and Loose and all those guys. And but yeah, like, I remember on the Convo, like, just listening to that last verse where he's like up in the intensity and everything, and then the beat drops, like, I just get chills and everything. I'm like, man, like, you know, we were blessed to have someone like DMX. Like, we're just blessed, and, you know, it's just sad that we lost someone like that. And like I said, when he died, 50% of the culture died with him. So yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough day, and X meant so much to hip hop, so much of the golden era, new golden era of hip hop, the late '90s, you know, which I think was the peak of his career. And then, you know, what X did, which is some of the other things that other rappers do, is he started being on TV, doing movies and doing other things like that. So we started going down that road. He had major success with it as well too. So shout out to X for, you know, expanding the talent in that regard. And Will, my question to you, my good sir, is when you think about DMX, how does he speak to you in regards to hip hop? How do he speak to you? Will, you there, bro?
DMX.
Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. DMX, in as much as hip hop is concerned, he was testosterone personified. DMX, I mean, not to say anything about any, you know, look, do what you want to do, say what you want to say, be what you want to be. DMX was 100, was a man's man. He was in your face. He was bombastic. The man, he carried his heart on his shoulder. There was a huge paradigm shift when X was in the game, because you couldn't have it. It couldn't be weak. It couldn't be weak with X, because X gave it 100% every single time. Right. It didn't matter what he was doing. In fact, he didn't necessarily garner respect. He demanded it without even saying it. Yeah. All of his peers knew that he was a megawatt bulb waiting to happen. You know what I'm saying? And when it happened, you could tell everybody else was kind of reacting to X. X did not care. X wanted to give. There were stories about X being in a hotel with like a ton of women and just sitting down talking to him, preaching the word. Right. What X meant to the culture is the same thing. Cut away all of the frills. There was none of the, imagine Puff was out. You had the shiny suits, you know what I'm saying? You had the flash. X reminded us and grounded us. X told us, hey, this is the streets. He's like, I'm one of the only brothers I know that could go to the hood, any hood, by myself and be good. Yeah. He didn't just talk it. When he told you, when he told you something on record, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. DMX, there are not enough superlatives to describe him. DMX was basically, I have a saying, and I've said it before. I think rap is turbulent poetry. X was turbulent poetry personified. Right. Like you said, one of one. Nobody did what he did beforehand, and nobody's doing it now. You know what I'm saying? And there are plenty of other artists out there that'll say, yeah, X. Because when you mention X, I remember Satisfy said it. A lot of cats kind of, forget about him, or they don't mention him in the greats. But then when you mention him, oh man, the whole room changes. There's a paradigm shift. And I remember this joint, and I remember this joint, and then this joint. Dude, he was lightning in a bottle, man.
He was. I would definitely agree with that. I remember Man, lots of good memories about DMX, man. Nothing negative at all. But I know that
No.
one of the things that I will say, and I'm gonna pass the mic over to Satisfy about this, is DMX fought a lot of demons. I mean, a lot of demons in his life. He had addiction early on in his life. And he talked about that. He was transparent about that. He was a Christian. But he had demons. He was fighting all the time. And one of the things that he said in one of the interviews that I saw this past week was, I'm an addict. I'm always going to be an addict, but I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm always high. And you're like, whoa, yeah, I get that. I get that. Like that kind of goes over some folks' head. Yeah, you are who you are. But that doesn't mean you have to, be high all the time. Yeah, he recognizes that he had a problem. He didn't run from it, he didn't hide from it. But unfortunately, it was his demise as well too. So Satisfied, let's talk about his impact on just mental health. Let's talk about that for a second, because that's one of the untouched, what I would say, taboo things in the late 90s that we really didn't dive into at that time. It was kind of like, well, yeah, okay, we got a little bit of issues or whatever, you'll work it out. But nah, it wasn't as easy as we thought. So when you think about DMX, Satisfied, what is his connection to mental health in hip hop, or bringing it to the forefront, in your opinion?
I think his connection with mental health is definitely very important and something very noticeable, because, throughout my 20s, I've been struggling with depression, anxiety, and I've had suicidal thoughts and shit like that. And because of that, like I've had demons too, and I still have demons I fight with. So knowing that someone like DMX also has demons that he's been fighting with throughout these years that he did, like, it made me feel like I wasn't alone and all that. And like the fact that he continued to like still stay positive and still like have like still believe in his faith as a Christian and all that, like, it's just very inspiring, because we all know that DMX had probably the worst demons that he faced out of anyone else in this world. And the fact that he still continue to keep going and stay positive, like, it's definitely something very inspirational. But definitely when it comes to him having demons, and like me and so many other people having demons, like, it makes us feel like we're not alone in this world, that like one of the greatest human beings ever like also struggle with what we're struggling with as well.
Yeah, he made it human. And here's what I'm gonna say on the record, Satisfy. If that ever happens again, you pick up the phone and you call me, dude. You call Will. You can call me any time of day or night. I've been there, brother. Yeah. Brother, I know, and that's real shit, man. Like, I don't think we talk about it enough. We don't. But like one of the episodes that Will said a few months back was, "I love you." We don't say it enough as men. It's okay to say "I love you." You know what I'm saying? Give each other a hug and pound and feel that affection. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. It's okay, man. You know what I mean? So Satisfy, I know, brother, and that's real shit. And anybody else that's watching or listening, if you're going through something, man, call me. I'll give you my number. We can chop it up and I'll talk you off the ledge, because I know what that feeling is like, man. And DMX said it too in Slippin'. He talked about depression, you know what I mean? And Slippin', he's 3 years later showing signs of stress. Didn't keep my hair cut or give up how I dress. Like, I was thinking back then, before we aired, I was like, yo, that's a hot line. That was dope. And then as I got older, right? You start getting older, you start going through life. Life start kicking you in the ass a little bit. And you're like, oh, you know what? That wasn't a hot line. He was really talking about the stuff that he was going through. That's why Slippin' is one of my favorite songs from DMX is Slippin', man, because it always, whenever I hear those horns and like, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of just lifts your spirit up. You know what I mean? He's just like, yo, like, I know what you're going through. I got you. And this is how you can get through it. And I still listen to Slippin' to this day, man. So I appreciate that. Your words on that, though, Satisfied. But Boyd, I'm going to pass the mic to you on this. Let's talk about the music, man. Let's talk about the music of DMX. What is your favorite album from DMX and why?
My favorite album, I would have to say, It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Now, there are a few others that come close, but the reason is it's such a statement. It's damn near perfect album from start to finish. And another song of his that doesn't get enough shine, and it was one of the songs that was on his "Get at Me Dog" maxi single back in the days when when we would oh, so and so's getting ready to drop a single, and we could physically go get a CD. You know what I'm saying? So he did a song called "Stop Being Greedy."
Yeah.
And it's funny because it kind of touches on so many different things. It touches on his demons. It touches on his duality with Earl and X. You know what I'm saying? And it was just so funny the way he did it. His staccato flow and the way his gruff voice, even when he was playing the Earl part, you know what I'm saying? It shone through, you know what I'm saying? And because when it get when the light goes out, I start having dreams or nightmares. The light dares desert me, got me like everybody wants to hurt me, and he personified those masterfully. And dude, he actually had you think, man, is that two different people or is that him? That was him. Nobody's done a song like that, dude. His concepts, the way he flowed. Like if anybody else had taken those raps, like Biggie couldn't do them. Tupac couldn't do them. Yeah. Jay-Z couldn't do them because they wouldn't sound the same.
Yeah.
He could take some nursery rhymes and it'd be a #1 hit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because of his voice. Yeah. I think my favorite album, it's Dark and Hell is Hot, but he's one of the few artists I know that when he gets on somebody's track, much like Eminem, he may wash you. He just might wash you. You know what I'm saying?
He just might.
When Jay-Z had him on, Money, Cash, and those.
Yeah. Right.
DMX and my dog Spike, Jigga, my brother, Rob all night. Yeah. Come on, man. Everything, dude. You don't even have to know all of the words. You mention some bar from any specific song, and everybody in the room will be like, "Oh." Just like that, man. I'm telling you, dude. His music, oh my God, yes.
Yeah, it's dope, man. It's definitely fire, man. All fire. And to Satisfy's point, he could drop, those albums could drop right now and be fire. And the reason for that is because of the sound. Yes. Shout out to Swiss Beats first off. Swiss, if you ever see this video, man, shout out to you, man. Your craftsmanship, the way that you married your music or your sound with X really, really personified the sound of Rough Riders during that time. And I want to ask Satisfy real quick. Satisfy, when were you introduced to DMX sonically, musically? When were you introduced to DMX?
I was introduced to DMX around 2002, maybe 2003. Okay. I had got this video game called Street Hoops on PlayStation 2. You remember that game? Mm-hmm. Pretty much there was 2 songs on there that were like the main highlight for the soundtrack. One was Front to Back by XIII. First time I ever heard of XIII, by the way. And
great alumni.
Yep. And then also Who We Be by DMX. Mm-hmm. And pretty much I heard it and it was just so different. And hearing him say, my father, my mother, I love him, I hate him. I'm like, what the fuck? But it was just so cool. It was just so raw. And it didn't sound anything like anything else. And I was like, man, like this guy's just everything. Like I just got captivated right away. And pretty much then I started to stay up to date with his music throughout the time, pretty much throughout Grand Champ. And then, what was the other album? It was, and then there was X Again. Yes. Right. And pretty much as I got older, then I started researching, going back to It's Dark and Hell's Hot, and then Flesh My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, and then there was X, and then pretty much that's when I realized, man, like this guy was just the greatest. Yeah. Like, so
definitely one of the greatest live performers in hip hop for sure. Definitely maybe top 3. I'll put Busta Rhymes in there too, but yeah, when you talk about a live performance, you go to an X show, you're gonna get your money's worth. He would perform like 1.5 sets and like not even take a break. I'm like, damn, he was like an alien or something, yo. Like, what's going on here? He don't take a breath. He's just, running around and having a good time. And
oh, by the way, I want to correct myself. The album after Grand Champ was The Year of the Dog Again.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
Dog,
right. That's right.
Year of the Dog Again.
Yeah, and I just want to correct myself on that because I'm a huge fan of DMX and just want to get it right. So.
No, it's all good, man. Hey, look, it's live. It's one take. Y'all know that, man. It's one take, man. I don't get it right all the time either, man. So it's all good. It's all good, man.
You know, since we're on the subject of the songs, the Get At Me Dog version that everybody knows, that's actually the remix. Yeah, because the original he did with the Locks, and I'm telling you that that verse, man, I love it because he comes out of nowhere with a bunch of stuff. And I remember a line he said in the one with the Locks. He said, "Grand champ and I raise more hell than the Sorrel. See him at the peephole, busting at the doorbell." And I was like, the way he said it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not the words, they may be unremarkable on page. You might be like, okay, yeah, you know, that's braggadocio, you know, it's violent. But when you hear it, it's like, man, you know. And at the end, he said, if you want war, then you want more than you can stand. And it's 4-4, we're leaving with this in his hand. Who the man? And now you cats know for real. Get at me, dog. What the deal? Man, blew my mind. Blew my mind. That's crazy. I like that version almost better than the original, you know?
Yeah, because with Get At Me, my favorite line in that is like, and then I'll have them all screaming like the white bitches in the Scary Movie. And I'm just like,
don't know how to act. Get too close to rappers like, protected by Viper, stand back.
Stand
back. Word, man. Like DMX, he was ill, man. My favorite album is Flesh to My Flesh. For lots of reasons. Slippin's on there. Blackhouse on there. Shout out to the Jay-Z and the Locks, who literally just that's one of my favorite Jadakiss verse is on there. First off, is on there. The way he just destroys that.
And Styles P on that song where he says, "Y'all are sunned out." Where
let me speak to your father.
Speak to your father.
That was Styles that said
that. Was Styles, yeah.
And DMX was like, "Plus it's all gravy, like chicken when it's smothered." I'm like, damn, how come I never thought about that?
And then what he say?
I think that's dark. Well, we'll talk about Jay next week, but Jay's verse is nasty. Jay's verse is nasty, so that one definitely would stand that track. And that's probably, and to your point, we talked about this off air, ladies and gentlemen. You know, before we got started, you know, the kind of like the rivalry between Jay and DMX. You know what I mean? Jay, and they used to go through ciphers all the time too. You know, DMX and Jay would battle a lot. Yeah. You know, behind the stages, behind the scenes. There was a lot of battles behind that. And you know, that was one of the times I thought that Jay was like, yeah, I got this one. I'm gonna go on your joint and I'll shine you. But neither here nor there. But
he didn't. X did.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love you.
It's either X or Jay. Everybody I know has an opinion of
I love Jay. I love the impact that he has had on the culture, but DMX,
to your point, Satisfy, I think that one of the things I love about X was his relationship, you know, to handle his demons, and you know, he had Damien, and then he had the Omen. So the Omen's on Flesh to My Flesh. So it's like the relationship he has, you know, the God or the angels on one hand, and then the devil's on the other side talking to him. Like he had that ability to do that. And that goes to your point, Will. I don't think a lot of storytellers in hip hop could have pulled that off. Maybe Slick Rick, and that's a maybe. Nas, I don't think it would have been as authentic. But coming from DMX, you know what I mean? You're like, that's believable that someone could actually go and you know what's all the bug about this? I'm passing you Satisfied on this last one here. Is like when you, I thought like it was like a gimmick how he sounded on the songs, like with the grrr and his song. Yeah. Yo, he really sounds like that. That's like his real voice. Yo, it wasn't no gimmick. That was who he was. You know what I'm saying? Like that was his voice.
You know, like crazy. Yeah. Like Be Real doesn't talk like he raps. You know what I'm saying? No. In fact, there's a story behind that. But X, dude, what you see, what you hear,
what you see is what you get. Absolutely, man. Like, it was crazy.
And it's interesting you talk about, you know, him doing the grrr and all that. Like, well, actually, my favorite, the most underrated, underappreciated DMX song is off of the Murder Inc. compilation album, The Murderers or whatever. Okay. DMX had a song on there called Tales from the Dark Side.
Okay.
And,
okay.
Oh my God. Like pretty much I heard the intro and he's probably laying down the dog barks. Like he's probably laying down 15 of them where they're like, arf, 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 just like all over the place. And I'm like listening to it at work and I'm just like, but then he comes on and he just bodies the fuck out of that song. And I'm like, why am I now just discovering this?
Yeah.
But better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never, man. Yeah. That's fact, dude. I mean, X meant so much to the culture, and to your point, Satisfied, like a part of hip hop died when DMX left this earth. A part of hip hop left with him, and his legacy lives on through his music, through us, keeping him alive, keeping his memory alive. And I'm gonna pass the mic over to William James to close us out. So, Boyd, give me your closing thoughts on DMX, man. Close us out. What are your final thoughts on X and what he means to you in your life and your journey? Going through life as a man. What does he mean to the soundtrack of your life?
I know we talked about depression, and everybody experiences depression differently. And I always had, a lot of people don't know this, but you were my Jiminy Cricket. Because when I was younger, I did a lot of crazy things. And I know initially when we met, you were kind of like, I don't want to step in this guy's lane too much, but maybe I should say something, and I could feel it. And you would say something, and I would contemplate it. Sometimes I just totally ignore it. But you were my Jiminy Cricket. And it was funny because with X, when I was, like I said, I didn't even know I was depressed half the time. You know what I'm saying? But by the time I realized I was depressed, I was out of it. And I'm gonna tell you, it's weird. I would listen to like X is coming, off It's Dark and Hell is Hot, you know what I'm saying? And it seemed like the darker X got, the more excited and the more vibrant I became. He was fuel for me and still is. There are several songs that I have of his on my gym soundtrack, but I experienced them in a different light when I'm listening to DMX, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, we go back to Get At Me Dog. It's one of his most popular ones. You know what I'm saying? When he did that song, he ran the gamut. I mean, he was just talking about everything. Mm-hmm. His energy, his flow. And I think that's one of the things that gets like overlooked and doesn't get talked about enough. His flow and his inadvertent comedic, timing, his talent, like in Party Up. You know what I'm saying? Yep. When he goes, you whack, you twisted, you broke, the kid ain't yours, and everybody know your old man, so you stupid. You be like, so I love my baby mama. I never let him go. You know what I'm saying? He will never have another ex. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. I've done karaoke, and I've done this in karaoke. I am not kidding you. It's one of those cheat songs because just like singing Don't Stop, but everybody knows the song. Everybody. So when you start doing Party Up and that part happens, it's like a chorus. Yep. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
X touched so many people and it was effortless. We talked about it, his authenticity, his heart. He was giving, he was real. He was transparent. Like you said, Rob, he was transparent. He was open. He fought with his demons, but at the same time, he knew where he's not once did X do something. And I had to stop and say, you kind of missed me with that one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like every other artist I can think of just about has done something where I'm like, that's not authentic, or I wish you hadn't done that. X, right. The only thing I just wish X hadn't had that one demon. You know what I'm saying? Because those drugs did a number. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But hopefully in the future we'll get to talk about the album he just dropped, and we'll be able to touch base on what his legacy meant. I believe FX left a blueprint that can't be followed and at the same time should be aspired to.
Absolutely. That's an awesome way to end it. And y'all go pick up or copy or go grab Exodus. Exodus is a pretty phenomenal album. I actually like it. We'll talk about it offline though, but some of the tracks that I picked out from there, Jay-Z, shout out to Jay-Z again, who shows his appearance on there, and Nas as well. But gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure spending time with the both of you, getting your thoughts on DMX's impact on hip hop. But we got to start closing things out. And how we have been closing things out and throughout season 3 is with a 9-second moment of silence dedicated to the late, great George Floyd. So if you all could bow your heads for me and take my cap off for a 9-second moment of silence, and then we'll get into the shout out portion real quick. Amen. Amen. Let that brother's soul rest in peace, and rest in peace to all of the others that we have lost due to social injustice in the United States of America. So I'm going to pass the mic to Satisfy first. Satisfy, this is your first appearance on the DGA2 platform as a guest. Thank you again, brother, man. So awesome to hear your thoughts on this late, great Earl Simmons. But who are your shout-outs going to, bro? Who you want to shout out to this week, fam?
To you guys first,
Salute,
for
Thank you,
having such a solid conversation about one of the greats, most definitely, and pretty much my mom and dad for dry humping each other and giving birth to me. Oh God,
love this dude.
God.
Okay,
man.
birds and the bees, fact. Okay, we got it, family. We got it.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. My bad.
It's too late. It's already out there, John.
Yeah.
Let your freak flag fly, brother.
Yeah. Shout out to mom and dad, yo. Shout out to mom and dad. Go ahead, Satisfy.
Yeah, but not for real. Shout out to my mom and dad for being the greatest parents that I could ever have. Shout out to Dion for being
Shout out to Dion, man.
being the greatest manager that an artist can ask for. And shout out to the rest of the DB Entertainment Squad, Mac, Spiff, 36M Brimstone, Shevin. So, yeah.
All right, I appreciate it, Satisfy, and thank you once again for blessing our platform. We will see you again, my good brother, going into season 4. No question. William James Boyd making the record-setting 13th appearance on this podcast platform. My brother, I'm always humbled and appreciative of you spending time and your wisdom on our audience. So, for the 13th time, my good sir, who are your shout-outs going to, family?
My shout-outs are going out to Earl Simmons' family first, and then second, the city of Yonkers, because I'm telling you, DMX was obviously from Yonkers, but I'm telling you that just like Jay-Z made Marcy Projects famous, DMX put Yonkers on his back. And by extension, I just want to give a shout out to rap and hip hop through Earl Simmons, because viewing the world through his eyes was truly a wonder, man. And I'm telling you, I'm giving that shout out because just like with the artists that passed, their cities, their personas, the things that identified them, Yonkers will forever be linked, with DMX, Money Earning Mount Vernon, with Heavy D, but you get the picture.
Word.
Word. I believe that hip hop has not only suffered a blow, but through DMX, through his music, we have guys like Satisfy. We have hope for the culture. We have guys that actually go and, Satisfy, you shared a story with us about how there was a shift with how you rapped and then how you ended up rapping. And so it's the same thing. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So I want to give props to Yonkers, X, God rest in peace. I mean, just to his family, one love.
Word. My shout outs, man. I can't even come up with the words to describe what X meant to me, what he meant to hip hop. So I'm gonna talk about my family first. Shout out to the Queen Jessica, who was my rock, my ride or die, who I cannot make moves without. Shout out to her. Shout out to my family, my kids, my mom and dad, my grandkids as well too. I love you all to death. But when it comes to DMX, you guys, I just start tearing up just thinking about it, man. Like, he meant so much to the culture, so much to me in my personal life, in my formative years, when I was a young man trying to figure life out and not really understanding things that are going on around me. But now going back as an old man, I'm an OG now. I'm an OG now.
Yeah.
I go back and listen to X and I'm like, yo, like, now I get it. Now I understand what it's like, to your point, Satisfy, about the demons that we all face. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. I know, I get it, and I understand now. And it's because of DMX. And he really brought what I would say was an advocate for mental health in hip hop before we even thought about it. Before we even thought about mental health in the 90s and bringing it to light. And I thank DMX for his legacy. So as you mentioned, Will, shout out to his family, his kids, everybody that rock with X. And one of the things I want to leave you all with is when his memorial service. So DMX, they took him on the back of a truck, and the Rough Riders rode through the city, and it was just beautiful, man. And like having Swiss Beats and all the greats, the Locks, coming up and talking about X and his kids, and it was just a beautiful sight, man. And so shout out to DMX, man. Shout out to Yonkers. Shout out to hip hop culture, and that's all that we got for this week, man. And we're gonna end this thing this week a little bit differently, you guys, with something that's called Voices of the World. We got a couple of guests that want to share a few words with DMX, so we're gonna end this week on that note. We'll see you guys next week. Y'all stay peace, stay humble, and stay hip hop. All right, 100. See you soon.
One.
Hey guys, this is Tiffany J, and I'm from Jersey, and I just want to talk about DMX for a minute and just pay homage to him. He was just such a wonderful artist. He was street yet vulnerable. He was raw and spiritual, and I love the fact that despite his shortcomings, he was never ashamed of his relationship with God. He always seemed to be transparent and genuine and a good friend, a good person. You will forever be missed, DMX. May God bless your family, your children, and may God rest your soul.
Remember when it was in the 90s and, hip-hop had gotten to the point where the sound was going from that hard hip-hop to that, softer vibe where they celebrated women and things like that. And then in comes this guy named DMX. And I don't even know what DMX stands for. Maybe y'all could tell me. And all he kept doing was talking about dogs and barking. And I was like, who is this man? It wasn't until, I saw the versatility of his gifts when he started acting. And then when he did that tribute to Aaliyah when she passed away, and Aaliyah was one of my favorite artists, and he did... It's been too long and I'm lost without you. He did a tribute to her. I fell in love with him. DMX, rest in peace, rest in power. You will be missed. And I salute you for all that you've contributed to the rap game. Peace.
Hi, I'm Samantha Lavelle, Chief Brand Officer of Certified Nation Entertainment. I currently reside in Seattle by way of Kansas and New Jersey. DMX, wow. My connection with him was definitely through the music. This man was a very spiritual brother from, any type of music that he would bring out, any type of feeling that he was feeling, we all felt that. Definitely a legend that will truly be missed, from his spirituality, from his own, beliefs, from his life, from his, experiences in the streets, his experiences in film, his experiences in connecting with people. DMX touched many people in so many ways, and he always just had an energy about him. If I had to describe him in one word, that's definitely what I would say, energy. No matter what type of joint he was coming out with, it was a lot of energy, and we really felt that. So we will definitely, truly miss, this amazing, and I would say legend in hip hop. DMX definitely placed a stamp on hip hop that we will always remember. He will be down in the history books of hip hop for sure. And, his music lives on. He may not be here in the physical, but his spirit lives on, his energy lives on, and definitely his music lives on. So rest in peace to DMX. We always will pay homage to you. Just no matter how old we get, we always going to remember DMX.
What up? It's DWI, and I'm reporting live from the dungeon. You already know what it is, the Matrix Studios in the Bronx. I want to shout out my man, rest in peace to the dog man X. I want to give y'all a little story, a little backstory on my first known conversation about DMX. Started off back in, I think, like 92, around 92, 93. I was living down the block, across the street from Swiss Beats, Qasim Dean, Hicks Avenue on Boston Road. And he would be walking down the street. I remember this one day he was walking down the street. A few days we was back and forth at each other's house. I was just learning how to make beats. I had my uncle's records. I had some crates of records in the house. I told him what I was doing. He came in the crib, took a couple of records to sample from, and then he kept it moving. A couple of days later, I seen him. He had his, I believe it was an SP12 under his arm. If it wasn't an SP, it was an MPC. Don't quote me on it though. And he was walking up the block, and I was just like, yo, that's dope. He's on his way. Let me find out where he's going. I said, yo, Swiss, what's up? Where you going? He was like, yo, I'm going to work with my new artist that I'm working with. And he was like, yeah, I'm working with an artist named DMX out of Yonkers. And at the time, like, I never heard of a DMX. I never heard no music from him. So I was like, oh, all right, that's dope. That's dope. Let me hear something once it's all done. And then boom, maybe like a year later, they came out with the Rough Riders joint. So I definitely want to say rest in peace to Dark Man X and to his family, friends, Swiss. You already know it's all love from the block. And make sure y'all get that new record. He's about to drop a new album. Make sure y'all pick that up. And shout out to my homegirl, Jess. Good looking out for the plug. Keep doing what you're doing for the culture. We love you. I love you. And DMX would definitely appreciate this. Get at me, dog. DWI.
What's up, man? It's your boy D-Tech. This is my tribute to DMX. All right? Listen, way before I lived in New York City, since back home in Jamaica, like, I used to record DMX music off BET, put it on a tape and watch it, and it was just so inspiring. Like, his voice was different. That was one of the first people, people say they grew up on Biggie, Pac. I think when I first started paying attention to hip hop was when I got put on to DMX, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was at school singing, what you bitches want from a nigga, and trying to name out all the girls in the record, all right? Listen, DMX, true inspiration. I had the pleasure of meeting his fiance Desiree. She used to come by the radio station a few times, and I know he approved that. You know what I'm saying? Much love and respect. I didn't get to meet him in person. Definitely one of my idols, and it's much respect to X every time, all right? X forever.
DMX to me was definitely more than an artist, a hip hop artist. He was an entire era of hip hop. He came through the scene. There was nobody sounding like him. He turned hip hop upside down on his head. I feel like everybody was dancing and singing, and he came out with this growl and this thunderous voice, and everybody was like, what the hell? And we just fell in love with him. And I don't think there will ever be, I know there will never be another DMX, and we're just gonna miss him and cherish him. I can't wait for his new album to come out. DMX 914 forever. Where my dog's at?
What's going on, man? It's your boy King Hoff, and we are here straight out of Hartford, Connecticut, and I'm here to pay my tribute to the God, the legend, DMX. You know what I mean? And I just remember DMX for creating good music and creating, good vibes. And one of my favorite songs from DMX is Slippin'. As somebody, we all go through real things, and DMX Slippin' was one of those songs that, helped me get through a lot of real things in my life, and I'm sure it's helped a lot of people get through some real things in their life as well. So, Slippin' was definitely one of those songs. But DMX, man, was somebody who I honestly wish I got to meet. I had a few opportunities to meet him, but those things really didn't fall through, and I never really got to meet him. But honestly, I did wish I got to meet him. But man, all I could say is if I did get to meet you, what I would say to you is, man, X, I appreciate you. What you did for music, what you did for hip hop, what you did for the people, is bigger than what you could ever even imagine, what you could ever even know. You are immortal. You're going to be somebody that's going to be remembered forever. And people are going to emulate you far, 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 far and long before you gone, man. So thank you for everything you did for the game. Thank you for everything you did for us, man. Hip hop appreciates you. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Rest in peace, Earl Simmons. Rest in peace, DMX, the legend.
Yo, what up? This is Christopher Lee Edmonds, aka Satisfy. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, and I just want to pay my respects to the late great Earl Simmons, aka Darkman X, DMX. Thank you, DMX, for everything you contributed to this culture, and thank you for influencing me and my music so much. Like, your authenticity, just everything about you is going to be greatly missed, and it sucks that we lost a legend like you. So, yep, rest in peace, DMX.
Hello, my name is Nyasia Chanel. I'm an R&B singer from upstate New York, and I've always listened to many different kinds of music. My parents always showed me many different kinds of artists, and one artist that stuck out to me most was DMX. It was his voice, his aggression, his pain, his storyline that made me realize what an amazing artist he was. I actually had the pleasure of opening up for him at an event called City Fest in Mount Vernon, and just being in that realm of just love and support that people have for him. It was just amazing. I met him backstage, and it was like a wow moment. Like, I'm finally meeting this person who I've always grew up listening to, and it was awesome. There'll never be another person like DMX, for real. R.I.P. DMX.
Yo, y'all, I want to really pay homage to one of the greatest hip-hop partners that I've ever known. His name is DMX. DMX was an individual that had, when you watch the show, not even had nothing to do with his show, just to shake his hand and to be in his presence, the man had more energy than everybody in the building all put together. DMX would be on the stage rocking a show with 10,000 people, and he had the energy he had more energy than all 10,000 of those people in there watching him rock a show. He was a great asset to hip hop, and hip hop. It's so sad to see him go. Hip hop has lost a great soldier. I grew up with DMX in my early years of Def Jam Records. I was wondering, wow, who is this cat? This cat lit such a fire up under everybody that was at Def Jam at the time, and I appreciate that so much. And I just wanted to say, God bless DMX. My condolences to DMX's family and all of his fans. I'm one of his fans. I'm one of DMX fans. The whole Rough Rider movement. God bless you guys. We definitely lost a true soldier, but that energy that DMX poured into his craft, into his music, into his life, into his career will live on continually. And if y'all, all you up and coming artists, if y'all want to know what type of energy to bring to the stage, go look up DMX and go find out how much energy that man had in his delivery of his music and in his stage shows, and that'll give you an idea of what you need to be doing with your own craft. And I'm gonna leave it at that. God bless DMX, all of his fans and family. We appreciate you.